Do you ever feel like the world has become too loud to bear? Like every conversation is noise, every connection a performance, and all you want is to disappear into silence? You start pulling away. Not because you've given up, but because you can't keep betraying what you now see. You've begun to notice the emptiness behind the smiles, the exhaustion beneath ambition, the loneliness that hides inside the noise. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. Carl Jung called this the breaking of the mask, the moment the false self begins to die. When the soul starts demanding truth over belonging, and the life you built no longer feels like yours. They'll call you distant. They'll say you've changed. But what's really happening is this: you're awakening. And awakening doesn't make you superior. It makes you solitary. It burns away everything false. It tears you from the collective dream until the only place that feels real is the quiet. This video is for those who feel that pull. The ones disappearing not from life, but from illusion. Across the world, something quiet is happening. People who once moved with the rhythm of the crowd are stepping away, not in rebellion, not in bitterness, but in exhaustion. A sacred kind of exhaustion that comes when your soul is done performing. They're leaving the noise, not because they hate the world, but because they can no longer survive inside its emptiness. They no longer find comfort in small talk, in pretending, in chasing what everyone else calls success. It's not depression, it's clarity. A clarity that makes the world's games unbearable. Carl Jung saw this pattern long before we did. He noticed that when the individual begins to awaken, when the unconscious starts to speak, the collective turns chaotic, and so the awakened retreat. Not to escape life, but to protect the fragile seed of something real. They vanish quietly. They stop posting, stop arguing, stop explaining. Their silence confuses those who are still asleep. Because in a society that worships visibility, to disappear is the ultimate rebellion. But the ones who disappear aren't lost. They're simply choosing a different kind of existence. One that values truth over validation, stillness over spectacle, depth over noise. They're not running from the world. They're remembering who they were before the world told them what to be. Every awakening begins with a collapse. Not a breakdown of the world around you, but of the world inside you. The identity you spent years maintaining, the role you played to be accepted, starts to crumble. The good person, the strong one, the fun one, the responsible one. All those versions you built to be loved start feeling like strangers. You wake up and realize you've been living a script written by everyone but you. The job you thought defined you now drains you. The friendships that once felt warm now feel forced. You smile out of habit, not joy. And deep down, something whispers, "This isn't me anymore." Carl Jung called this moment the death of the persona. The persona is the mask you wear to survive. The false self shaped by society's expectations. And when it dies, your world begins to shake. Because without the mask, you don't yet know who you are. You only know who you are not. That's when the confusion starts. You'll feel lost, not because you're broken, but because the map you've been using was never yours. The people around you won't understand. They'll say you're distant, moody, detached. They'll tell you to snap out of it. But what they don't see is that you're not shutting down. You're shedding. Think about it. How many times have you laughed at things that didn't amuse you, agreed just to avoid conflict, stayed where your soul was already gone? Because it was easier than facing the silence of truth? That's the first layer of awakening. The brutal honesty of seeing how much of your life was built to please, to prove, to belong. It hurts. Because you start noticing that many of your relationships were with people who loved your performance, not your essence. They love the role you played in their story, not the truth of who you are. And here's the insight Jung left us with. You cannot awaken and remain who you were. The two selves, the false and the real, cannot coexist. So the false one must die. It's not punishment, it's purification. The death of the persona feels like emptiness because you're standing in between two worlds. The one you're leaving behind and the one not yet born. It's a sacred in-between, a space of undoing. This is why you feel lost, why nothing excites you, why silence feels both terrifying and magnetic. You are not off track, you're being rewritten. So what should you do in this stage? Don't rush to rebuild. Don't fill the silence. Don't run back to what's familiar just to feel safe again. Instead, observe, listen, detach from the noise that kept you asleep. Let the emptiness do its work, because emptiness isn't absence, it's preparation. And maybe the reason spiritually awake people disappear is not because they've lost themselves, but because they're finally meeting themselves for the first time. They are not escaping life. They're ending an identity that never belonged to them. And from that funeral of the false self, something real begins to breathe. Carl Jung believed that awakening is not an escape into light. It's a descent into darkness. He called it individuation, the lifelong process of becoming whole. It begins when you stop chasing who you think you should be and start meeting who you truly are, the parts you've ignored, buried, or feared. Most people mistake awakening for bliss, but in truth, the first step of consciousness is confrontation. You descend into the parts of yourself that never had a voice, the anger you swallowed to stay kind, the sadness you hid to appear strong, the envy, the fear, the desire, everything you judge as unworthy. Jung said, "No tree can grow to heaven unless its roots reach down to hell." And this is what he meant. To awaken, you must go down, not up. Down into the soil of your shadow, down into the layers of your conditioning, down into the lies you told yourself to survive. It's terrifying, yes, but it's the only way to see clearly, because the shadow isn't evil. It's just everything about you that you were taught to reject. It holds your pain, but also your creativity. It hides your shame, but also your power. When you stop running from it, you stop being divided against yourself, and that's when healing begins. Think about it. Every time you suppress your anger to keep peace, you build a quiet resentment that poisons your joy. Every time you deny your sadness, you also block your ability to feel wonder. Every time you reject your flaws, you reject the parts of you that make you human. Integration means holding all of it, the light, the dark, the known, the hidden, without shame. And this is where many spiritually awake people disappear. They're not gone, they've gone inward. They step away from the crowd to do the work most people avoid, the work of wholeness. From the outside, it looks like isolation, but on the inside, it's an alchemy, a silent fire that turns fragmentation into freedom. When you descend into yourself, you stop being controlled by what's unconscious. Your fears stop dictating your choices. Your wounds stop choosing your relationships. Your patterns stop writing your destiny. You become aware, and awareness is liberation. This is the sacred paradox of individuation. To be truly awake, you must first fall asleep to the world. You must disappear from what's false so you can return as what's real. There comes a moment in every awakening when silence becomes irresistible. You no longer crave company, you crave clarity. The noise of the world feels heavy, artificial, and the stillness that once scared you now feels like home. This is the hermit phase, the sacred withdrawal. It's not depression, though it can feel like it. It's not loneliness, though you might cry in its depths. It's the moment your soul closes the door, so your spirit can begin to rebuild from the inside out. Carl Jung described it as the descent into the unconscious, a necessary retreat from the collective noise to hear your own voice again. Because healing doesn't happen in motion, it happens in stillness. And the ones who have begun to see the truth often need to step back, not to escape life, but to finally live it consciously. During this phase, your life simplifies. You stop chasing things that drain you, the endless opinions, the obligations, the roles. You begin to value peace over excitement, authenticity over approval. You say no more often. You disappear from conversations that feel false. You start to notice beauty in the smallest, quietest moments. The way sunlight hits the floor, the sound of your own breathing. But here's the paradox. The more you pull away, the more people misunderstand you. They'll assume you're cold, withdrawn, maybe even broken. They'll say, "You've changed," and you have, just not in the way they think. You're not abandoning the world. You're detoxing from it. You're learning to live without the constant validation that wants to find you. In the hermit phase, time stretches differently. Some days feel endless. Others dissolve into pure presence. Old wounds rise up, uninvited. Not to punish you, but to be released. The silence can be brutal. But in that silence, something remarkable happens. You begin to hear the voice that's been whispering your whole life. The one that isn't afraid, the one that knows who you are. And this is where solitude transforms into sacredness. You start realizing you are never truly alone. You were just surrounded by noise too loud to hear yourself. The withdrawal isn't a retreat, it's a return to the rhythm of your own soul, to the space where truth finally becomes audible. Jung wrote that the modern person's greatest challenge is to find their soul in a world that's lost its own. That's what the hermit phase is, not rejection of the world, but reconnection with the self. It's not isolation, it's incubation. You're not disappearing, you're being reborn quietly, in the stillness that no one else dares to enter. Silence has a way of revealing what noise once hid. When the world finally grows quiet around you, you begin to hear everything you once ran from. The pain, the anger, the fear, the truth. This is the shadow, the part of you that carries everything you couldn't face. Every emotion you suppressed to be accepted, every memory you buried to appear strong, every part of you that was judged, shamed, or unloved. In the silence, it all comes back, not to punish you, but to be seen. Carl Jung warned that until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. That's what happens in the night within. You finally meet the parts of yourself that have been running your life from the dark. You start to realize that your patterns weren't random. They were protection. The people you kept attracting were mirrors of your unhealed wounds. The chaos you kept finding wasn't bad luck. It was your shadow asking to be acknowledged. And that's why this phase can feel unbearable. You'll cry for no reason. You'll feel waves of anger, guilt, emptiness. It's the body releasing years of repression, the soul detoxing from illusion. You're not breaking down, you're being rewritten. There will be nights when it feels endless, when you'll question everything you once believed in. You'll crave distractions, you'll want to run back to comfort. But this darkness isn't against you. It's guiding you. The shadow doesn't come to destroy you. It comes to make you whole. Because hidden inside your darkness is your power. The same energy you've spent your life suppressing. When you stop fighting your shadow, it transforms. Your pain becomes empathy. Your fear becomes intuition. Your shame becomes depth. And suddenly, what once felt like weakness becomes wisdom. That's the real meaning of spiritual awakening. It's not escaping the dark. It's learning to walk through it with open eyes, to hold your pain without drowning in it, to forgive yourself for not knowing better, to love the parts of you that no one else learned how to love. And slowly the night softens. You start to breathe again. The storm inside quiets. You realize that nothing outside you changed, only the way you see. The shadow didn't steal your light. It protected it, kept it hidden until you were ready to handle its truth. And now you are. So if you find yourself in that dark silence, remember, this isn't the end. It's the passage. You're not lost. You're meeting yourself in the only place you ever truly existed. Silence has a way of revealing what noise once hid. When the world finally grows quiet around you, you begin to hear everything you once ran from. The pain, the anger, the fear, the truth. This is the shadow, the part of you that carries everything you couldn't face. Every emotion you suppressed to be accepted, every memory you buried to appear strong, every part of you that was judged, shamed, or unloved. In the silence, it all comes back, not to punish you, but to be seen. Carl Jung warned that until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. That's what happens in the night within. You finally meet the parts of yourself that have been running your life from the dark. You start to realize that your patterns weren't random. They were protection. The people you kept attracting were mirrors of your unhealed wounds. The chaos you kept finding wasn't bad luck. It was your shadow asking to be acknowledged. And that's why this phase can feel unbearable. You'll cry for no reason. You'll feel waves of anger, guilt, emptiness. It's the body releasing years of repression, the soul detoxing from illusion. You're not breaking down. You're being rewritten. There will be nights when it feels endless, when you'll question everything you once believed in. You'll crave distractions. You'll want to run back to comfort. But this darkness isn't against you. It's guiding you. The shadow doesn't come to destroy you. It comes to make you whole. Because hidden inside your darkness is your power, the same energy you've spent your life suppressing. When you stop fighting your shadow, it transforms. Your pain becomes empathy. Your fear becomes intuition. Your shame becomes depth. And suddenly, what once felt like weakness becomes wisdom. That's the real meaning of spiritual awakening. It's not escaping the dark. It's learning to walk through it with open eyes, to hold your pain without drowning in it, to forgive yourself for not knowing better, to love the parts of you that no one else learned how to love. And slowly the night softens. You start to breathe again. The storm inside quiets. You realize that nothing outside you changed, only the way you see. The shadow didn't steal your light. It protected it, kept it hidden until you were ready to handle its truth. And now you are. So if you find yourself in that dark silence, remember, this isn't the end. It's the passage. You're not lost. You're meeting yourself in the only place you ever truly existed. Eventually, every awakening leads back to the world. But when you return, nothing looks the same. You walk through the same streets, see the same faces, yet something fundamental has changed. You no longer seek yourself in what's outside you. You no longer chase the life you once thought would complete you. You no longer beg for understanding from those still asleep. You participate in the world, but you're not consumed by it. You've learned the art of being in it without belonging to it. Carl Jung wrote that the goal of individuation is not to escape the world, but to return to it as a whole, conscious being. You begin to see the collective dream for what it is, a beautiful illusion, necessary but not absolute. You can smile in the theater without losing yourself in the play. The noise doesn't seduce you anymore. Success no longer defines you. Conflict no longer drains you. You choose where to give your energy, and that choice is freedom. You may still feel alone, but it's a different kind of aloneness, a chosen one. The solitude that once felt heavy now feels light because it's no longer isolation, it's integrity. You start noticing that people sense something different about you. They can't name it, they just feel it. Your calm becomes unsettling to the restless. Your silence exposes the noise in others. And that's when you realize you no longer need to convince anyone of your growth. Your presence has become the proof. This is what returning as a whole self means. You move through chaos without absorbing it. You can love without clinging, give without losing yourself, and forgive without reopening the wound. You no longer react, you respond. You no longer perform, you embody. And maybe that's the final stage of awakening, not to transcend the human experience, but to live it fully, without forgetting who you are beneath it all. Because the world doesn't need more noise. It needs more people who've walked through their own darkness and return with light that doesn't need to be seen to exist. So if you've felt the pull to disappear, if you've grown tired of noise, tired of pretending, tired of shrinking yourself just to fit into places that no longer feel like home, know this: you're not fading, you're refining. The world will tell you that silence is weakness, that isolation is failure, that to step away is to give up. But the truth is simpler and older than all that noise. When you grow silent, you return to your source. You reconnect with the voice that was buried beneath a lifetime of distraction. Carl Jung understood this. The goal of awakening is not to escape reality. It's to wake up within it, to see through illusion, but still choose compassion, to walk among the asleep without losing the clarity of your own dream. And when you reach this stillness, you stop needing to be seen. You stop explaining your depth to the shallow. You stop confusing noise with connection. You realize that peace doesn't mean having no storms. It means knowing which storms are worth standing in. The ones who disappear are not lost. They are the ones who found the door back to themselves. They walk quietly now, not because they fear the world, but because they finally belong to something deeper than it. So don't curse your solitude. Don't rush your silence. Stay with it. Let it rewire you. Let it teach you how to see without judgment, how to love without need, and how to move through this world without losing your center. Because that is the wisdom of stillness, to see everything, to chase nothing, and to remain untouchable in your quiet truth.